This is my 21 Ram Laramie. In today's video, we're going to go over 3 years of ownership and what I think about at my lease end, and what I'm going to be doing within the next month once my lease ends. Alright guys, I want to thank you for coming back for another video. I know I have not made any videos in a long time. Honestly, there just hasn't really been anything all that interesting going on in life that you guys would care about. It's just been work, home stuff. Just nothing really that I have time to make videos on. However, I'm at a interesting point in life that I figured I'd make a video on. This video is going to be my 3-year ownership experience with my 2021 Ram Laramie. We are at the lease end. It is currently mid-end of October of 2023, and my lease is up. I think my last payment is in mid-November, and the truck is to be turned in mid-December. So 3 years are up. I spent a lot of time with this truck. I'm not gonna say I have a lot of miles on it, a little bit under 30,000 miles, but I spent 3 years with it. I tow with it, I daily drive, driven it in the summer, in the snow, on trips all over the place. So I have a pretty good idea of the truck at this point. So we're going to be going over a few things I wrote down. Issues during ownership in that 3 years, things I like, things I don't like, what I wish I did differently, assuming stock was available. I bought this in December of 2020. It was right around when COVID was starting. It was an interesting time. Nobody had stock on anything, so it was a tough time. So there really were no options for vehicles. And lastly, what are my future plans? What am I going to do? I lease vehicles so I can get a new vehicle all the time and kind of try something different. So we're going to go over what my options are. All right, so I wrote all these things down so I can make sure to hit a comprehensive list of the things that I want to point out. So first thing we're going to go over is issues during the ownership. While I love this truck has not been perfect. There is no perfect vehicle. So we're going to get that right out of the way right off the bat. Some of the issues I had. So you guys might have seen a video that I posted within 24 hours of getting the vehicle. I think I had 20 or 30 miles on it, and it popped a cell. It popped a lean code or rich code. I forget what it was. Not a huge deal. I know it wasn't a huge deal. The code went away within a day, so you know, I wasn't all that worried. However, you know, it's a little nerve-wracking having a cell come on within 24 hours of a, you know, $66,000 vehicle that you just bought. Random shutting off when coming to stops. When I first got the vehicle, I want to say it happened a number of times within the first year or so. I'd be driving, pulling up to a stop sign, slowing down, and power would just cut to the vehicle. I don't know why. It would just happen drifting to a stop. So it's not even like it was the auto start stop. I don't know what caused it. It hasn't happened in a long time, but it was happening every once in a while. I want to say a handful or a couple handful of times it has done that. Now, there was a recent recall done on this vehicle that was done, so maybe it has something to do with the e-torque system. I just got that done like 2 weeks ago. Perhaps it had something to do with that, because I believe that the recall did have to do with that, with the vehicle just randomly shutting down. So we'll consider that fixed, but it is something to think about. Here's the big one that has really irritated me through this. So about 16,000 miles on the truck, I started getting some clunking from the steering wheel. I noticed it when I'm backing out of my driveway. You guys might have seen my property before. I have a little bit of an incline in the driveway and then kind of slanted curbs. When I was pulling out of the driveway, I would constantly hear clicking when turning the wheel. Took it into the Ram dealer a couple times. They told me it was the transmission, it was common, had to do with downshifting. I'm like, guys, This has nothing to do with the transmission. The car's not shifting gears. Like, it's something with steering. Check out the steering. So I think on my third visit, I forced them, while I did most of their troubleshooting for them and basically told them what to look at and what it probably was, they determined that there was a problem with the lower control arms. Whether it was one or both, I don't know. They said both. It took them a while to figure it out. They ended up replacing both, but I really think it was the driver's side front lower control arm. And the reason why I say that is because I was getting uneven tire wear along with that. And they even mentioned the uneven tire wear when I went in for oil changes, but they never thought to question why I had uneven tire wear, and they just wanted me to replace the tires. So that's kind of an annoyance. I was mentioning it, went a couple thousand miles, arguing back and forth with them that there was a problem. Eventually they replaced the lower control arms. Haven't had a problem since. Granted, I'm only 29,000 and change miles, so it's not like I put a boatload of miles on this, but it does worry me going forward, depending on what my next steps are. The ambient lights. So I am actually, and I'm waiting for one now. The driver's side ambient light that goes underneath the door handle, that has blown out on me 2 times. I'm actually waiting on another replacement module now with the UAW strikes. The parts just aren't here. So I was in a Warlock for like 2 weeks and I wanted to kill myself because I'm spoiled with the packages I have. So I just said, give me my truck back, let me know when the parts are in, I'll bring it back in. With that, every time they got to diagnose it, they don't want to order the part ahead of time. Even though they know what it is, they don't want to order the part ahead of time. They don't want to do their job. They don't want to troubleshoot. I have to do this for them. So I have to drop it off. They have to pull the door panel, do all this stuff just to find out it's exactly what I said it was. Then they order it, and then they tell me they can't order it. So the door panel is going to come off again. I'm trying to get all these little things taken care of before the warranty is up again, depending on what my next steps are. Not a huge thing, but again, you know, I paid for a package with ambient lighting. I want the ambient lighting to work. Rear door panels were an issue. I want to say I dealt with it for, God, probably almost 2 years. Very common problem with these things. I don't know if it's just if you have the Harman Kardon unit or stereo, or if it's all, but there is a very common issue with the back door speaker grills rattling. And again, it drove me nuts. I let it go for like 2 years because it was driving me crazy, but it was one of those, like, I just didn't want to take the time to fix it. I knew what it was. There's a gap between the speaker grill, so when the bass was hitting, it would start flopping and the grill would hit the speaker. You could actually push in on the grill and the noise would stop. So it was pretty cut and dry what it was. It was one of those, I was in for the ambient lighting, and I said, hey, take a look at my back door panels as well. See what you can do to fix that. Again, they had it in one time, they couldn't fix it, or they thought they fixed it. I had it in a second time. I said, look guys, there's stuff all over the forums. It's a pretty common thing. Put a piece of foam or something like that in between the speaker mounting flange and the grill, and you know, that way the grill doesn't touch the speaker when the door moves. They did that, and I haven't had the problem since, so I'm happy with that. Again, another thing to look at if you're looking at a 5th gen Ram. I don't know if it's just the higher end models, just the ones that have Harman Kardon, I don't know, but something to look at if you're looking at buying one of these. Another issue, it doesn't happen a lot, but it's an annoyance. When you go up on the windows, you hit the one-click auto for the windows to go up. It seems like the driver's side a little bit more will kind of stutter, like it'll stop and then go down, and I gotta click it a couple times to go back up. So again, that is an annoyance. Those are the actual issues. So now we're going to get on to the things that I do like about this. And I'm going to apologize for any wind noise. I figure I'd get out of the vehicle so you guys aren't just bored with me shooting inside the vehicle. So I'm looking at 24s. I'm looking at 24s for everything. Again, I like to bounce around, find the best vehicle I can. And I still think Ram makes the best truck for the buck if it's loaded, right? So I'm looking at, I originally wanted a Sierra Denali back when I got this. I looked at Sierra Denali's again. I looked at a 24 6.2, you know, pretty loaded truck. It was an $85,000 truck, and I don't think the truck was as nice as this. The interior wasn't as nice. For $85,000, it didn't have a lot of the options that I have with this. Now again, this is a fully loaded Laramie. This is about as close to a limited as a Laramie can get, but even if you compare it to a limited, for the price range, it still didn't even have what the limiteds, you know, typically come with, right? So look at a Sierra Denali. I looked at a new Tundra, again, fully loaded Tundra is almost $80,000. I looked at F-150s again, and you know, I'm still back at the realization that if you get a loaded Ram, it just is the best truck for the buck. You know, comparatively speaking, between the brands. I said when I first got this that the Ram would be perfect if it had this interior, it had the Sierra Denali outside, you know, exterior looks, and the F-150 EcoBoost motor. I've kind of changed out a little bit now after having this truck for a long period of time. I think this truck does look better than all the competitors. I still think the interior is leaps and bounds better than the competitors. And again, and just for the money and just for the value, I do think this is the best truck around. I still want to say that I would rather have this with a twin turbo V6, but that is another conversation for a little bit later. Comfort, again, the package that I got with this vehicle, the comfort is just second to none. My wife says that this is a ton more comfortable than my F-150 ever was on long trips. It tows well. It just feels good, feels solid. Gas mileage is still pretty good, you know, for a decent sized V8. It has tanked a little bit since I've gotten it and driven a little bit more, but that could be tires. I don't know. Again, the tires aren't the greatest. But yeah, just overall comfort, drivability, man, this thing is where it's at. Again, get the options though. If you're just gonna get a base Ram, a Tradesman, a Classic, a Warlock, something like that, you're gonna find out it's just a truck, right? Just a work truck, doesn't do anything special, nothing really to write home about. Difference is when he had the option. And lastly, what I really do love about this truck is just the interior. The interior is held up absolutely great over 3 years. I really don't take care of the vehicle old. Like I say, I don't take care of it, but I've cleaned the interior like 4 times since I've owned it. So that being said, it is held up tremendously great for the lack of cleaning and maintenance that I've done to the inside. Let me show you guys. So we'll kind of get a different view here, but again, the interior has held up phenomenally. I have no qualms with the interior. You know, the seat bolsters, I'm a big guy. I was quite a bit lighter when I got this, but I gained a good bit of weight since I got it. But the bolsters are great. Door panels, again, other than the, you know, you'll get some basic scratching on the plastic. Honestly, most of that's probably from the door panels going on and off multiple times. Interior is held up great. Center console, I do put my puppy in the back here when we go out to the lake. You probably see some nose prints and some mud here and there. I just cleaned the doors the other day though. But again, it's puppy proof. The dog jumps on and off the seats. These leather seats have held up great. Alcantara has held up great. Just no real issues. Everything just does what it needs to do. So I have no complaints at all with the interior. All right, now we're gonna get on to things that I don't like about this truck. There are a number of things. Most of them are technology related. Probably not so much a Ram thing. The other big guys probably all have these problems, but they're things I want to mention because they're annoyances, right? You want to get a big truck, luxury truck, highly optioned, all this electronic crap. What comes with it? Headaches come with it, really. So I have the full 360-degree cameras, love it. All the sensors, lane departure, automatic cruise control, all that stuff. What I don't love is the rear collision avoidance. I had to shut it off. Again, if you guys have seen my property, if you could see my driveway behind me, my driveway goes down down a hill a little bit. My son's car is actually back at this corner on the street, and my wife's car is typically parked right next to me. If you're leaving for work as the sun's coming up, guess what? A shadow will set that rear collision detection off. A shadow at the corner. Nothing is worse than 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, haven't had your coffee yet, backing out of your driveway, and all of a sudden, beep, 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 and it jams on the brakes. It scares the shit out of you first thing in the morning. It has done that to me so many times from shadows. And on top of it, just again, my son's car being parked at the back corner, the rear collision avoidance thinks that there's a car coming down the street, and it will jam on the brakes once I get down to the bottom of the driveway. It is such an annoyance. It is a great feature in concept, but it hasn't been executed greatly. They're too sensitive. There needs to be something other than light sensitivity or something for these things to trigger. So I just keep it shut off now. I keep the sensors on so I can hear them beeping when I'm backing up so I don't hit anything. But as far as the truck automatically braking, I did shut that off because I could not live with that. My neighbors were probably laughing at me because they hear me screaming at 6:30 in the morning, yelling because I was pissed off because this thing would just jam on the brakes, and it would keep on doing it. I'd let off, I'd stop, I'd look around, make sure there was nobody around, I'd try and go, and it beep, 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 and it would jam on it again. It would just do it over and over. Got tired of it, shut it off, not dealing with it. The navigation system, I have the 12-inch unit. 12-inch unit in general, I like it, but the navigation is terrible. It is non-intuitive. Again, these infotainment systems, not a lot of companies do these right. This one is a good example. It's not done right. You can't use the voice to text to actually get you anywhere. You'll say, hey, go down to Subway, and there's a Subway 2 blocks from me. It'll say, oh, going to Zimbabwe, and then it'll give me directions for something 3,000 miles away across the ocean. Why? I don't know. It's just, it wasn't designed very well. And I'm an IT guy, so if I think it's non-intuitive, most normie people are not going to find it intuitive. Tire wear is a big issue. So I have the 22s on this, 285, 45, 22s. It has the Goodyear Eagles, absolutely terrible tires. Worst tires. I lease so I don't have to put money into a vehicle. I'm hoping 36,000 miles. Realistically, I put 30,000 miles on my leases. I'm kind of hoping I'm not going to put tires on a vehicle. Again, 15, 16,000 miles. I'm like, these things are kind of wearing a little tough. I'm not liking it. Now we're at 29,000 miles. I got 2 tires that have literally 0 tread, and 2 of them that are on the wear bar. So, I thought that was terrible wear. Talking to some other guys on 5th Gen Ram forums, kind of make it seem like I was lucky. Like, how did you get 30,000 miles out of those things? These things were going at 18,000 for everybody else. So maybe I got lucky. I think that's terrible. So I do have new tires on order. And the Hemi. How I feel about the Hemi. I don't know how I feel about the Hemi. It's not terrible. It's not great. I think it's a little underpowered. I was kind of spoiled by turbocharged vehicles. I got a 6.2 in my Vet. I'm used to something a little bit different. It's not bad. It has pretty decent pickup and go during normal driving. It tows pretty good when you put some weight on it. Anybody tells you they're towing 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 pounds, whatever the weight limits are, on a 5.7 Hemi and say they don't feel it, they are completely full of shit. They're lying. There is no way. I tow regularly, I would guess 6,500, 7,500 pounds. It tows that pretty good. A lot of that I'm towing up through mountains. It tows it pretty good. I don't have too much complaints with my boat. Towing a heavy dump trailer with a front end loader in it, it was getting heavy. The truck did not like to go uphill. You could feel it. You could absolutely feel it. Going downhill, even with the trailer brakes, and adjusting the trailer brake, the electronic trailer brakes, you could feel it. I wouldn't tow heavy with this regular.
If you know you're going to be towing, you know, over 7,000, 8,000 pounds, if even that, um, just realize it's not a diesel. It's not a heavy duty. So again, just realize that. And the paint, I don't think the paint is great. I think the paint's held up decently. It's not like the paint's flaking off, but I have rock chips and I don't want to say indentations in the paint, but if you really look at the paint, it's kind of tough to see because it's white. But if you look at the paint's wavy. It wasn't applied great. It was applied very patchy. Ram does not do a good job with paint, and if they do, they didn't on mine. So maybe it's just a fluke. So we're gonna get to what I wish I'd done differently if there was stock available, right? So if I had options, there's a couple things I would have done differently knowing what I know now if I knew then. So again, at the time there was no vehicles available. Literally, they had 2 loaded Laramies. Again, this is a 21. I bought them in 20. They had 2 loaded Laramies, a white one and a black one. The only thing I hate worse than white is black. So that was my option. I got white. And if I were to do it again, I would not get white. White, while this looks cool because this looks like a stormtrooper, it has that very stormtrooper feel, white is perpetually gray. I can't just foam wash this thing, let it drip off, spray it, and have it be clean. I always need to touch it, and it's annoying. White is always gray. So I would have preferred a different color, probably gunmetal gray. I actually did just look at a couple, like the dark gray limiteds, gunmetal gray, and I looked at a blue. I think it's called Patriot Blue. Looked at the Longhorn Limited, I think it was. Man, that thing looks nice. So I would definitely go for a different color. The biggest thing I wish I knew then what I know now is the fuel tank size. I got the standard fuel tank size, 23 gallons, I want to say it is not big enough for this truck, especially if you tow. It is annoying to constantly have to fill this thing. If you're going to buy one of these and you're going to do truck stuff with it, I mean, if you're just a regular guy, you're just driving back and forth to work, maybe this doesn't matter for you. If you're going to use it as a truck and do truck stuff, get the bigger tank. I think they have a 26-gallon option and maybe a 33-gallon option. Get the bigger tank if you can. Again, this was not available. There were no options available at the time. I had to take what I can get. If you guys remember, I had an F-150 on order. They kept on pushing it due to COVID. I had to make a decision, and I got this. So get a bigger fuel tank. Sometimes I do wish I had a panoramic sunroof. That's really the only like core thing I'm missing. Sometimes I wish I had it. I could probably do with or without it. I mean, I got a transparent top in the Vet, and I love it. I just love the open airiness of it. Regular sunroof, I probably wouldn't want because I don't use them, but I'd like a panoramic sunroof, but I wouldn't go nuts about it. Same thing with the Air Ride. Cool, I could use it, but I don't know. Not all that excited about it. And the biggest thing, and I'm still saying this 3 years later, I would still rather have a smaller displacement twin turbo V6. Again, the Hemi is good. It's got a decent bit of power. It makes some cool noises, all the V8 stuff. That's cool. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's as responsive as a twin turbo V6. Is it more reliable in the long run? Probably. I'll give it that. It's probably going to be more reliable in the long run. I have an e-torque. That's probably going to take away from the reliability and probably be problematic at some point. But I just don't think the 5.7 has enough. If they put like a 6.2 in these 1500s, that could probably be all right. 6.2 or 6.4, whatever the big Hemi is. If they put that in the 1500s, again, gas mileage would tank, but I think that would be a good option. But 2025, they're talking about coming out with a Hurricane in these. So, you know, that kind of makes me think about what my next options are. So, what are my next options? I've looked at many 24 trucks. I've come to the conclusion it's going to be a Ram. But it's going to be this Ram. I am buying this Ram. And the reason why that is because I fell into such a stupid deal at the time, even though there was no stock available. It was before the prices hit the roof. Financing was cheap. Everything was great. I got a killer deal on this thing. My lease, again, this was a $65,000 truck. I think the dealer marked it down to $59,000. And then I got another like $6,000 in discounts, however it worked out. 36,000 miles, 36-year lease, no money down, $565 a month. You can't argue with that for this kind of truck. Now we're at my lease end, and I have positive equity. Retail on this truck, I think, is like 44 grand maybe, and my buyout's 36. So you would think that put me in a great position to buy a new truck or lease a new truck. The problem is the prices have went up significantly. To get in another Laramie that is not as loaded as this, I'm in the low 70s. I'm like 72 for the same exact truck with a little bit less options. If I jump up to a limited, which is what I was going to do, I am now 80 to 84. There's some incentives, but not a lot. Worse off, financing rates are terrible right now. Lease rates are even worse. You used to be able to get into a very expensive vehicle for a decently low lease rate. You can't do that anymore. So looking at limiteds, God, even looking at a limited, it was a 23 leftover that was like 65, 66 grand. They were looking at almost 1,100 a month with 1,500 down for 42 months. Not doing it. Makes no sense to me. Looking at a 24 limited that was like 85 grand. I think it was closer to like 1,300 for a lease. I think they even said 1,400. While I can afford it, there is no way in the world I can justify doubling a payment on a lease for the same vehicle. So, while financing rates are terrible, I'm going to get a 6.49% rate for probably 5 years, and it's going to suck because now my payment is going to go up to $680 to $720 a month, depending on how I term it, and it sucks, right? Because I'm going to spend an extra $200-ish a month for the vehicle I've already been driving for 3 years, and now I got to take it out for another 5-6 years. Not ideal, but at the end of the day, I cannot justify spending what the vehicles cost now with inflation, financing rates, all that. So I'm just going to buy it out. It makes sense. The truck is worth it. I enjoy the truck. I wish I had some other things, but not enough to double plus my payment. So I'm going to keep it for the time being. I got new tires on order. That's going to take care of the tires for the next number of years. And I still have a drivetrain warranty for, whatever, 50, 60,000 miles. So I'm still going to drivetrain warranty. I just don't have the bumper to bumper. That gives me time to think about it. Some crazy deal comes up, everything crashes, financing rates are great, they got to get rid of vehicles. I'm cool, I'll get another vehicle. When 2025 rolls around and they have their EV, if the EV is worth looking at, maybe I'll look at the EV. I'd consider it if it could do truck things. By 2025, maybe it'll do truck things. If it doesn't, more importantly, I think they're going to have the Hurricane out in 2025. So that puts me in a position to rock this for another year. Maybe I'll still be in a decent financial position with this to make some money on the trade and trade in on a Hurricane. If it looks good, maybe there'll be a restyle. But I am highly looking forward to a twin-turbo V6 option in this. So, sorry this was long, convoluted, but I feel like there was a tremendous value to doing this video. If you guys are considering a 5th gen Ram, I say go for it. It's PM Performance approved. I've driven everything. I've owned everything. I love this truck. With the caveat of get it as optioned as you can. The more options you're going to throw in this thing, the more you're going to love it. And you'll be in the same position as me. You'll say, I don't know if I'm going to love it or like it even, and now I love it, and I don't think I could do without it. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know your comments below. If you think I'm making a good choice, or am I stupid? Should I go some other way? You let me know what you think, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.